Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wow Week. I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes while everybody enters our Zoom room here. This is Wow Week, which is our annual virtual get-together where we share the intel that we think that smart travelers need to know for the year. We've got a different travel talk, a different live Q&A every day this week at 6 p.m. Eastern. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have winter travel, the holidays and beyond, because if you think summer's booked up, just wait till you see what's happening to the Christmas, New Year's holiday this year. Watch out. You've really got to be making plans very, very soon. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about winter travel. And then on Friday, because we're all having trouble finding affordable airfares anywhere these days, on Friday, we're going to talk about smart airline strategies and how to get the best flights, the best seats, the best fares for the rest of the year. But today we are going to be talking about solutions for summer. First, let me just introduce the team here at WendyPerrin.com. Billy Cohen. Billy is our content director and director of digital strategy. Billy, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hey, everyone. I always like to say hi and welcome to anyone who's new to us and new to one of our talks. I also always just like to say what we do here. So Wendy, Brooke, and I were longtime travel journalists, and our whole mission in life is to make sure that you never have a mediocre trip again. And one of the ways that we do that is through talks like this, and then also through Wendy's wow list of trusted travel experts, some of whom are right here with you tonight. And that is a collection of really knowledgeable, really plugged in, well-connected trip planners that are incredibly rigorously vetted by Wendy and also by all of you, because you send in your trip reviews after you travel. And based on that and based on Wendy's experience, we're able to share what it's really like to be out there and traveling now. So that's what tonight's all about, and planning for the future. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was just administrative, so less fun. But so I'm going to be manning the chat box. So if you have, I'll drop links in there, but if you miss anything, don't worry, because I'll send out emails after the talk. And if you have questions, because everyone will talk and then you can submit questions, put them in the Q&A, which is a little icon on the bottom rather than the chat box. It's just easier for me and Brooke and Wendy to see them there and make sure that they get answered. Okay, I'll stop talking now. Thanks for being here, everyone.
Thank you, Billy. And let me also introduce Brooke Wilkinson, who is our editor extraordinaire, who pulls together so many articles that you all rely on, from which countries are open and how to get in, to travel insurance, and she's also at the other end of so many of the emails that you all send in saying, where do I go and how do I book it and who do I use for it? Brookie, will you say hi to everybody?
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see so many familiar names and some new ones among our audience tonight, and looking forward to the discussion.
Awesome. Okay, so we've gathered here together today because I know a lot of you've tried to get into France in June or Italy in May, or you want to go to the Amalfi Coast. It's sold out, prices are astronomical, and you're wondering, where on earth can I go this summer? I know this is happening to a lot of people. I've never seen so many people wanting, Lake Como or the Amalfi Coast in my life. It seems like after this pandemic, it's like everyone wants that iconic experience that they've been dreaming of, that's kind of pulled them through and nourished their soul, but not everybody can fit in. So what we're going to do today is learn what are the other options for this summer, because there are a lot of really smart places, pockets of different countries, under the radar, fabulous places where you can go. And we're going to tell you where to go and when to go there. And I just want to also say that, I think a key lesson that we've learned during this pandemic is that you want to get to a country the first summer after it reopens, because if you wait until the second summer, you're too late. I think that might be what a little bit of what's happening with Italy and France this summer, but I want to call on Jennifer Virgilio, who is in Rome right now, where she lives. Is that right, Jennifer?
Yes.
Yes,
correct.
and please tell us what you are seeing in France and Italy and England for this summer, and where on earth, where can we still go?
Mm. I'm it's very difficult. That's such a hard question. Thailand sounds really good. We were talking about that before. No, I would say, yeah, we're seeing in unprecedented demand. Like it's just gone truly out of control. The prices of hotels, the availability is changing on a daily basis, hourly basis. That we're, they're really, I can't even think of, when you're saying about pockets of where people should go in our countries, it's very difficult because availability is really at its peak unless there are cancellations. So right now what we're doing for May and June are confirming to make sure that our hotels are booked, our guides are booked, our transfers, our car services. We have amazing events taking place this month in France, from the Cannes Film Festival to Monaco Grand Prix to the Champions League, which was moved from St. Petersburg to Paris. We have the Queen's Platinum Jubilee coming up in London, plus many festivals, Royal Ascot, Wimbledon, and so on and so on and so on. So really the next 2 months for us in France and the UK are extremely busy, plus the Mediterranean summer, Italy, Amalfi Coast, everything that you've just said. So definitely book early for Christmas and next summer to avoid missing out. But for us over here, I would say we're starting to look at bookings from July onward, mid-July onward. And like I said, availability at hotels is very difficult.
Is there a province of France, like some region of France or some part of Italy, where you could say, you know what, there is availability in the last half of August, or if you go in early September? Does anything occur to you, or is it really looking that brutal?
I would say maybe if you go outside of if you go to the city centers in the summer, like August is generally a slower month in London or in Paris, or the cities like Rome and Florence. So I would say maybe the city breaks in the summertime, but going anywhere near their seaside or where there's a pool is very difficult.
Okay, well, we will take that to heart and think about then going either for the holidays or next spring, next year. And let's move along to Gonzalo Correa, who is with Tours for You in Lisbon. Tell us about Portugal and Spain and what is going on there, Gonzalo, in terms of like the demand and what's available for people still.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, everyone. Well, there's a lot going on for May and June. Most definitely, the closer to the hot places like Madrid and Barcelona and Seville and Lisbon. But I am actually noticing that when it comes to the month of July and August, as long as you're staying away from the normal beach destinations, there's actually a pretty good chance that not only you're going to be able to get into the charming boutique hotels, especially in regions such as in Portugal, for example, of the Alentejo and the Douro Valley. Alentejo with rolling hills and hilltop castles and villages and amazing food. The Douro Valley with the wine, as long as you don't mind the warmer type of temperatures. But you'll get all of that. If you don't mind getting to maybe lesser known destinations, then just head on north to the Basque Country in Spain, to areas like San Sebastian, to Bilbao, and those will have milder temperatures for sure. There are still plenty of availability. I mean, not like in the last few years availability, obviously. It is reducing, but still, I've been noticing that the demand for the peak of the summer in these areas is still pretty reasonable, as long as, again, you avoid, as Jennifer was just mentioning, just staying by the coast or near a beach, and that's a little bit more complicated.
Mhm. And what is it looking like for September?
September is not as easy, especially because in Portugal and Spain, those are traditionally popular times to travel. It also coincides with the harvest season, and lots of people head to the wine country. So it gets a little worse on the specific wine regions, but it gets a little better along the coast on the upside. So if you don't mind slightly cooler temperatures by the coast, then September or even October are good months to book, as long as you're staying away from the wine country on that particular aspect.
Okay, well, good to know. Thank you. Let's move along to Croatia. Now, Croatia is a country that, well, actually, didn't Croatia just like drop all of its restrictions and requirements?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hi, this is Ala Osman from
you
Exeter
moved.
International.
Hi, everybody. Yes, Croatia. Well, Croatia's actually been open the last 2 summers, so it's busy this year, but it isn't sold out. So I think the fact that Italy's opened and lots of other countries have opened up have kind of, balanced things out slightly. It's definitely all about being flexible. So if you come with a big travel window, we can probably find something. I found something in a 4-room place yesterday. I found 2 rooms in a 4-room place in September, and we start with that and then we work everything else around it. So it is possible, but you can't, if you come to me with set dates or a set idea of exactly what you want to do, then you might get disappointed. So
Right. I found it so interesting when you were saying, when it comes to Croatia this summer, look at the hotel availability first before you book your flights. I think a lot of people normally, the normal way that people, book travel is they book their flights and then they think, okay, now I'm going to fill in my time. But this
also
in
Croatia and in that whole region, it's very unlikely that you'll be flying in to the same airport that you're departing from. So you can't know that until you plan the trip. So that's another reason to keep it fluid. And I know that that's also an issue because flights are also an issue, prices and availability. But if people can be flexible, then, and September seems pretty good. I mean, June is June everywhere now. I think it's that's going to be tough, but the rest of the summer in September is possible. It's possible.
Right. I think one reason June might be tough is that if for families, anybody who has kids who need to come back after summer and get back into school or into college, they want to make sure that, because you have to test negative to get back into the United States. I think a lot of parents want to, I certainly am thinking about that. Like, okay, I need to leave a certain window of time just on the off chance that somebody tests positive, right? And we're there. So that may be one reason why June is just so booked up everywhere, but that's good to know. So there is, if you can be flexible with your dates, there is availability in Croatia.
Yeah.
Right. What about if you want to combine Croatia with, let's say, Slovenia or Montenegro? Is that easy enough? With the.
I just came back from a trip that was Slovenia, Croatia, and Italy, because I just popped over to Trieste, which is kind of just right there next to Slovenia, and it was very, very easy crossing borders. When we went into Italy, we didn't even get checked at all. So There's actually more of a check between Croatia and Slovenia. So there's no problem. I think a lot of people were anxious about doing multiple countries on one itinerary, but there are no issues now with COVID or anything. And then if you're in the south, you can combine Dubrovnik and Montenegro. And there's a fabulous new one and only resort there. So,
but since all these countries have basically dropped their entry requirements, it's so much easier now. It's really not an issue getting between them.
no,
Okay, great. That's great to
not
know.
at all.
Okay, well, thank you, Ala. And now let's move a little bit north to Switzerland. We have Nina Mueller from Cosa Travel. Nina, are you in Zurich right now?
I am.
Where it's midnight.
Where it is midnight, but I'm very happy to be able to be here because Switzerland might still be the place to go or book. I mean, we have never been on the tourism map as France, Italy, or I would say coastal destination as Croatia and Portugal, but we're this landlocked little fun country bringing so much beautiful culture, but nature also. And instead of swimming in the ocean, maybe you want to swim in a lake, but not crowded with people, yet a bit more, I would say, private. Of course, we have a lot of bookings also for June, July, but when you're not fixed on seeing something specifically, you will always find a routing that is still possible. And the cool thing about Switzerland is, I mean, everything is also reachable in day trips. So let's say one of your goals is really to see the Matterhorn, but it is maybe your choice of hotel is still not there. Either you do it in a day trip, or there's so many also family-run, small, great boutique hotels that might not be on the top list of the normal Google hits or searches you would find. So this is kind of the treasure trove of Switzerland. We have fantastic hotels that are yet to be discovered. We have smaller mountain villages. And we also have a functioning Italy. So the Italian part of Switzerland, for everybody who was sad to not make it to Lake Como and will move that trip for next year, maybe this year, the Italian part of Switzerland could still be an option.
That's a very good point. I also, when I think of Switzerland, I think of hiking.
Yes.
Everybody's been wanting to hike, and
Exactly.
obviously spend so much time outdoors, but there are so many adventure thrills and outdoor activities in the Alps.
There's thrills, adventures from canyoning to paragliding, but also more soft. I mean, you can do, if you don't want to go extreme, there is, more relaxed boating, or just a normal boat, actually, a steamboat where it's still traditionally run over the lakes is possible. You have the cable cars if you don't want to hike up, and we have some of the most funky cable cars you ever thought of. The steepest, the roundest. We have a cabriolet cable car, so you're standing on the top, completely safe, don't be worried. And so it's really a destination that is still yet to be discovered on the global tourism map, but I think we're taking our benefits from it now, which is wonderful.
And the chocolate.
And the chocolate, so we can sweeten up your life. Yes.
Great. Well, thank you, Nina. And now we're going to go even farther north to Norway. Jan Sortland of Norwegian Adventures. And Jan, why don't you tell us sort of, I feel like what's great about Norway and Scandinavia right now is that this is the first, like with Norway just reopened a few months ago. I mean, This is kind of the first summer when you can go back there. And so I feel like it is a place where you can really get the peace and quiet and the wide open spaces. But tell us what you're seeing for this summer.
Yes, we also see unprecedented demand. So it is very, very busy for us now. But the good news is that we still have availability. And we have yet to say no to someone, so we will always find a solution. Norway and also the other Scandinavian countries are small nations, but particularly Norway and Sweden are very large countries area-wise. So in Norway, for example, we are one of the bigger areas in Europe, but we have only 5 million. So we have so much space. And Norway is extremely diversified. So we have much more than just fjords, but also fantastic mountains, a wonderful forest. We have more than 200,000 islands scattered all around our enormously long coast. We have, even in September, in the summer, you can enjoy the Northern Lights. So you can do the fjords and enjoy Northern Lights on one trip, for example. So Norway is very diversified, but also looking at Scandinavia as a whole, extremely diversified with fantastic scenery, but also wonderful and interesting big cities.
So I'm surprised you can do the Northern Lights in September. I mean, I think a lot of people would think, well, I've got to go to Norway in the dead of winter to see the Northern Lights, but you could really, at what point in September?
Yeah, from even actually the last days of August, because technically Northern Lights is happening every night throughout the year. It is just that it has to be dark in order to see Northern Lights, because the sun cannot, or the Northern Lights cannot outshine the sun. So it just had to be dark in the evening. And right now, even though, for example, high up in the Arctic of Norway, we have 0.5 meter of snow, but it is already midnight sun. So right now it is too light to see Northern Lights. But in August, we get the night is dark enough and long enough for you to see the Northern Lights.
Well, that's fascinating. I think that will intrigue a lot of people. Thank you so much, Jan. Now we want to move a little closer to home. The reason we've been so focused on Europe is that, I mean, every day Brooke and I are seeing just dozens of trip requests for Europe. Everyone wants Europe right now, but I know there are a lot of bewildered families who are desperate for a sun and fun beach type vacation this summer. And Meg, I'm hoping you have ideas for them. Meg Austin, are you in Vail, Meg?
I am. I'm at home right between Vail and Beaver Creek. We closed the ski resort Vail on Sunday. So I was out skiing on Sunday. But let's talk about summer solutions. Summer solutions and pockets. We need pockets. And then going into the June is June. Okay, June is I do have a 5-night opening that just opened at a private island off of Harbor Island. It's spectacular. Summer in Hawaii is down. Prices are still up. So we need to set expectations for Caribbean, Hawaii, etc., because the pricing is up and the service levels are down globally. It's just the way it is. So you need to keep that in mind. But there are some great options and opportunities. I know Zach will touch base and talk about Mexico. The Riviera Maya holds my passion and my heart. We've had some seaweed issues. The seaweed has arrived early this year. Generally, it is the worst in the summer, so maybe it will leave early, but we're seeing better value in the Riviera Maya. We've got the cenotes in the Riviera Maya. We've got the whale shark. Chablais Maroma, fabulous resort, is offering every 3rd night free. So if you stay 6 nights, you get 2 nights off. Essentia, another one of my favorites in Ishpuhas, offering every 4th night free. But let me go back to Hawaii, because Hawaii really, we're seeing some really good specials there. It's been at the top of the top. And not only are we seeing some specials in Hawaii, we're seeing some nonstop air that I find very valuable. From the East Coast, it's a little more difficult. Denver, we've got nonstop flights from Tacona. The Big Island, Manalani, which is one of my favorites. Manalani is an auberge resort. They're offering a 5th night free. And in their 2-bedroom private residences, oceanfront, beachfront, with private pool, they're offering their 7th night free. That's huge.
That's for this summer. I mean,
This
property offering nights free for this
pocket.
summer?
This is the pockets.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This
Here in
this summer. And then East West Resorts owns the Mauna Kea, Hapuna Prince, and others, and quite a few residences that people really don't know about, and why you need to work with an advisor, a specialist, a WOW person. But East West has some fabulous accommodations on the Big Island, 2, 3, 4, 5 bedrooms. Now, they're not right on the beach. If you want to be on the beach, you have to do the Hapuna Prince or the Mauna Kea or the Mauna Lani. But there's some really good value in Hawaii for this summer, really good value. Now, I know I'm overstepping my bounds because I'm Caribbean beaches, but I'm also ski. But oh my goodness, ski in the summer. My backyard, Vail, Beaver Creek, but also the Waldorf Astoria Park City is offering, if you stay 4 nights or longer, it's 25% off. We're looking at some of the top accommodations for ski resorts in the summer, where there is an unbelievable amount of activity to enjoy and explore outside. We've got incredible golf. We've got pickleball. We've got hiking. We've got horseback riding. There's so much to see and do at these 5, 6-star resorts where you've got the 5, 6-star dining, and the value is incredible. I mean, I've got a 3-bedroom at Manorvale. Zach just stayed there. We were skiing together. That overlooks the Gore Range, has an outdoor hot tub, but also overlooks the Ford Amphitheater. Amos Lee is coming to the Ford Amphitheater, but so is the New York Philharmonic. You can get lawn seating at this really small venue and see some top people, orchestras.
So ski resorts in summertime, basically. It sounds like that's something to think about if you want to stay in the United States.
5-star at 3-star pricing.
Okay, that is so great to know, Meg. Thank you.
Okay, but wait, let me go back to St. Lucia. Hold on. St. Lucia, Jade Resort is offering a 7th night free. Jade is one of the top resorts in the world, not just the Caribbean. 7th night free and an all-inclusive romance package. It's incredible. The Ritz-Carlton Grand Cayman, I was just there for its grand opening, an iconic hotel in Grand Cayman. Grand Cayman's basically closed for 2 years. They're offering some incredible specials, beautiful redo. So Caribbean, Hawaii, Riviera Maya, Mexico, and ski resorts. There are definitely pockets of availability with value.
Well, Meg, thank you so much. I think that will be very heartening to a lot of people. And now, so we've been hearing a lot about Zach, who right now is in Mexico. You're on a surfing vacation, aren't you, Zach?
I am, Wendy. Hi, everyone. Hi, Meg. It was so nice to be with you in Vail. I am on a surfing expedition, on a mission with 2 friends from elementary school that I grew up surfing with in Long Island, New York. And we are in the state of Sinaloa, about an hour and a half north of Mazatlan. And I drove up here on Monday from Puerto Vallarta, which was an 8-hour drive, beautiful drives. So, but to jump into what the pockets are, the opportunities are here in Mexico, it's appropriate that I'm on Pacific Coast. Here, we'll give everyone, our readers, a view of the Pacific Coast right now, real time. And it actually is the Pacific Coast. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, I do love the suggestions that Meg mentioned. That said, buyer beware on the seaweed front. The sargassum seaweed on the Caribbean coast has come early, and it's thick, and it's a problem. So despite the great deals, we're generally steering people to the Pacific coast. And speaking of interesting and emerging new things, there are now 4 nonstop flights a week from JFK to Puerto Vallarta. And so Puerto Vallarta, Punta de Mita, Los Cabos, these are definitely places that we are encouraging people to visit over the summer months that are looking for sun and sand. And there's loads of offers. I think a lot of people during the pandemic really reignited, or perhaps this rediscovered Mexico. The beach destinations that I just mentioned, certainly the Riviera Maya, but also an interesting thing that happened is that people really got to know more off the beaten path destinations in Mexico, including San Miguel de Allende, Oaxaca, some of the other colonial cities in the heartland, Guanajuato, and really, because the rest of the world was either closed or difficult, people had their cultural, culinary interests, and they figured it out in Mexico. So kind of half jokingly, I say that the pandemic did a lot of my work for me, because that's been my mission, to share Mexico's off the beaten path or more or lesser visited destinations. Mexico City is back in a big way. Definitely it suffered a lot during the last 2 years, as did most urban centers. But Mexico City, like the other colonial towns that I mentioned, is a great option because despite the fact that it's summer, it's at 7,000 feet above sea level. So you might get a little bit of afternoon rain, but it's cool at night. It's lovely in the mornings and sunny. And so that's another great one. And I think people were really wanting to go to Mexico City and kind of held off a bit because of obvious reasons. But that's another great pocket where there's incredible value. And the hotels are dying for your business and for your visits, and they're open arms. So that's another great pocket as well.
What are the temperatures like in Mexico City over the summer?
Sure. So daytime, you're looking at 70 to 75. At nighttime gets down into the 50s, maybe 55. So it's lovely. It's springtime weather. And, all the attractions are open. All the restaurants are open. And it's been that way for some time now. So absolutely great opportunity to get back to a place that people were really dying to go before all of this began.
Great. That's awesome advice. Thank you, Zach. And now I want to move on to Tom Baker with Cruise Center, because there are so many people who are wondering what is going on with cruising. Are there cruises to take this summer? What do you recommend? What would you recommend to people?
Well, hello, everyone. Hi, Wendy. It's great to be
Hey.
here, everyone. So cruising is back, and I will tell you, it's going to be a very busy summer. The good news is there's some really amazing values for travelers to cruise this summer. Pricing is actually down below pre-COVID pricing for the Caribbean, for Mexican Riviera, for Canada, New England, which just reopened, by the way. Canada just reopened its borders. And surprisingly, there's a lot of space still in Alaska, which has become the go-to place for most of my families that are traveling this summer. So on top of that, I'm seeing a new influx of interest in the Mediterranean, and very honestly shocked at cruise pricing compared to what I'm hearing from my friends in overseas land operations. Cruising is still relatively inexpensive. And I would say this is probably one of the best times to take a cruise, because the ships still are completely monitored by the CDC and are operating at a smaller capacity than they had in the past. So you're looking at ships that maybe would have carried 2,000 people or 3,000 people now at 50, 60% occupancy due to CDC rulings. Some of that will increase as demand increases, but this is a great time to cruise. People are coming back very happy. The ships aren't full, there are no crowds. Pricing is still low as cruising is getting back, and families are starting to travel again. I'm seeing a huge push late, of course, for June and July for Alaska and of course the Caribbean. So I think it's a great opportunity for people who have not yet made those plans, looking for a cruise vacation.
I'm surprised to hear that there is that availability. I mean, normally Alaska cruises, because the season is pretty short, don't they sell out pretty far ahead? I mean, that's pretty unusual.
It is very unusual, and the pent-up demand already was pretty significant. But I think what held a lot of people off was the question whether Canada was going to reopen its borders or not. And once that opened, the floodgates started opening, but there was a lot of space out there, and a lot of people still are uncertain about what the requirements are for entering into Canada, especially leaving out of Vancouver or getting off a ship on Eastern Canada and Quebec. It's actually pretty easy. Canada has relaxed their requirements exponentially. As long as you come with your vaccination card, you're in good order. So it's open and the prices are still very good, even on some of the luxury ships. Having said that, I will tell you what the most interesting thing is. I'm seeing ships are selling from the top down. It is much harder to find suites on many of the ships all summer long, actually all the way through the end of the year and into 2023 and sometimes even into 2024. Ships who are looking for people looking for big suites, 1, 2 bedroom or even 1 bedroom suites. They're sold out on so many voyages. So I think people are making up for lost time, but there's some really good values out there for deal seekers right now. Surprisingly so. I didn't think it would be quite like this, but if you want to take a cruise, I will say now is the time. Fewer people on board the ship, plenty of service staff, and a great push by the cruise lines to perform even better than they did pre-pandemic. They're really working hard to try to get good PR and get people back on the ships again. I think 2023 will be another story altogether though, as the advanced bookings are already just extraordinary. So cruising this summer, especially from domestic ports from the US to Caribbean, Mexico, Alaska, and Canada, it's a hot ticket, but great opportunity for some good deals.
Right. So take advantage of this moment. And what about the Mediterranean?
There's some really incredible deals in the Mediterranean. I just booked one of your travelers this week on a Norwegian escape cruise round trip out of Rome on July 10th in a club suite. I was surprised at $1,100, including port charges, taxes, and fees. And NCL, Norwegian Cruise Line, is offering one ticket, you buy it, $1,300 from the East Coast, the second passenger goes free. I don't think you can beat that type of value and visit what I call Italy's best ports of call along the Mediterranean and in France as well. So some really good values still out there.
Fascinating. Thank you so much, Tom, for that
My
cruise.
pleasure.
And now let's move over to Dan Fraser of Smiling Albino. He is in Thailand, where it is 5 a.m. Thank you so much for joining. I can't thank you enough for joining us, because I think, everyone's been waiting for Asia to really not just reopen, but kind of get back in the swing of things. I think a lot of people feel like it's tricky to get there. What's open? How does it? Tell us what you could do in Thailand and beyond this summer.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Wendy, for putting this on. I'm Daniel Fraser from a company called Smiling Albino, based in Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And yeah, it is 5 a.m. I see all these beautiful backgrounds. I see Zach sitting on the beach having a beer in Mexico. I'm in a little hotel in the middle of nowhere, about 7 hours from Bangkok, with green Chinese prism lamps. So I don't know, my representation of Southeast Asia is not great in this video, in this room, but I'm telling you, it is a great time to be here. And as Wendy said, Thailand particularly is experiencing that renaissance that parts of Europe were last summer and last fall. The restrictions have eased across the board. Thailand no longer requires the test before departure and the test on arrival, which is great news. Same with Cambodia. So you can land and you're free to travel. And we've been waiting for that for a year. So we're thrilled about that. The beautiful thing about Southeast Asia right now is that it's really like traveling here 30 years ago, because we've only just opened in the last few months. And the numbers of travelers are somewhere down where they were, again, in the 1970s and 1980s, about 10 to 15% of regular numbers. So imagine going to Angkor Wat in the morning in Cambodia and there being a few dozen people there rather than a few thousand people there. Those are the kind of numbers we're talking about specifically for summer this year. Obviously, the numbers will increase by later in the year, but right now the numbers are really low. You can go to places like the Grand Palace in Bangkok, and in the morning and late afternoon, it's almost, you have it to yourself. So these are normally places that we try and sneak in through the side door and avoid the crowds. Now we don't need to do that. And that's what makes summer, Q2 and Q3, travel to specifically Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, the time to go. It's a sneak preview. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is that the major markets of Chinese travelers have not returned yet, and they probably will not return until next year, 2023, which means that seeing major sites and being out in the open and avoiding large tour groups, that's a pretty rare opportunity. And that opportunity is this year, 2022, specifically summer and early fall. And I know that the topic here is solutions for summer. So I wanted to mention that a lot of people have the impression that Southeast Asia is really fall and winter and spring only, and that are completely avoided in summer. But there are a lot of different atmospheres, or a lot of different environments and ecosystems here in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia really is a year-round beach destination. So there's Koh Samui, for example, in Thailand, which has its peak in July and August, because that's when the weather is best. In Vietnam, for example, Nha Trang and some of the beach areas in the Central Coast, July and August is when they are at their best. So that seems to be lesser understood or lesser known by a lot of international travelers. So don't avoid Southeast Asia in the summertime just because other parts have the monsoons. It means that there's great weather in some of the other pockets as well. So we're expecting an awesome summer. We have a lot of Canadian and US bookings coming up, and we've had a lot of Wendy Perrin readers and Wendy Perrin travelers inquiring about summer and fall, which is amazing for us because we've been waiting for this for 2 years. So thank you for that. And we hope to see you all here really, really soon before the world returns.
Dan, tell us how many days or weeks, or like what's the period of time you really need for a good trip? 2 weeks, what's the sort of, because a lot of people are pressed for time.
Yeah.
What do you really need to be able to go over there and do it right?
I always recommend 10 days at a minimum, because the flight is so long. It's from JFK, for example, you're still looking at 20 hours plus, maybe 22. So 10 days is ideal because you need a few days on the ground in a city like either Bangkok or Hanoi just to decompress. And then you can move around freely. All of the flights domestically and internally are short, an hour. Airports in Southeast Asia are much quicker and simpler than they are in the US and Canada, where I'm from. So internal flights and logistics are quite simple, but because it is so far away, I would say minimum of 10 days. Having said that, I'm always impressed with American travelers because in 7 days, you could cover three countries like nobody else on the planet. So we do have people coming to Southeast Asia and doing Thailand and Cambodia in 7 days. I don't think that's ideal, but people do it and they do enjoy it. So 10 days is a minimum. That way you can slow it down and really sink your teeth into the 2 or 3 different destinations.
Great. Yeah, American travelers do seem to have like their eyes are bigger than their, they bite off more than they can chew.
They move.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, awesome. So let's go. I realized that I forgot to say at the start of this because I was so taken by everybody's colorful backgrounds and I was so excited about this conversation that I forgot to mention. I just want to say that we want to thank our Wow Week sponsor, Medjet, for sponsoring us, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to hold these talks. Medjet is a travel emergency assistance membership program. They transport for COVID globally. Let's say you're hospitalized overseas, whether from COVID or something else, they get you back home to a doctor and hospital that you trust. I personally have had a Medjet membership ever since my kids were little, and it gives me great peace of mind. So I just wanted to give a thank you to Medjet for sponsoring and allowing all of this to happen tonight. And now, Brooke, I'm going to hand it over to you so you can read, find out what people are asking. Yeah.
We've got some great questions here. One question came in, could you please set expectations for reduced staffing or service availability that hotels might be having? I wonder, and I think a lot of people saw issues in the United States when we were all traveling domestically last year and hotels were understaffed and such. I see, Zach, you got your hand up, so that's great. Would you like to address that issue?
Sure. No, I'll just quickly, as Mexico has moved through all of this more quickly than many other destinations, and now we're seeing the same things play out in Europe. And certainly, I'm sure that the same will happen in Asia as it opens. Basically, everything was disrupted. And when things resumed, and they resumed with a bang, as we're hearing, especially Europe and even now Asia, all the staffing, all the food and beverage outlets, the spas, everything was shut down for a long time. So getting that all running again and smoothly oiled machine as it was takes time. At the same time, destinations and properties are experiencing unprecedented demand, and that leads them to raise prices. That's rational, but it doesn't feel all that rational or good to travelers when they get somewhere paying 30, 40, 50, or even 100% more than they did before the pandemic and getting less service. But this is what it is. So, I'd love to hear from the people in Europe and Asia as well, but that's what we experienced. And we're finally now, 2.5 years later, and remember, Mexico never really closed. We're finally seeing that service levels are recovering to pre-pandemic levels, although prices have not returned to pre-pandemic levels. So that's what.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. I know all of you in Europe have been traveling a lot yourselves. Any stories? What are you seeing in your partner hotels and other businesses on the ground? Jennifer?
Yeah. No, I will say it depends on the country. It depends on where in the country they are. But there is still a need for more staff in probably all of my destinations and all of the hotels and all of the restaurants. I was in a restaurant one night in Paris, and the restaurant was not packed. It was not busy, but it was a premium chef, and everybody that tried to come in and get a reservation, they were walking them away because they didn't have the staff to handle a full restaurant. The concierges and my company also, to book restaurant reservations, they're not even answering the phones anymore. They're not answering the phones on the Amalfi Coast. They're not answering the phones in Saint-Tropez. They're not answering the phones in Paris and London. It's either online or you actually have to go there in person to make that dinner reservation. So it takes that much more time to get a booking in a restaurant. So everything is taking much more time, getting responses from our guides, from, booking museum tickets, from everything is just taking a lot longer than before.
Yeah, and that's why it's so helpful to have an expert in your corner to do that for you. Kind of on a similar note, another viewer asked, how can we make sure hotels and rental cars don't cancel reservations made months ago? We are concerned as the prices continue to rise, increased profit may cause some to get greedy and not honor the reservation. And with zero availability, there's no backup options. I think, Jennifer, you pointed to this earlier, saying that your team is confirming and reconfirming. So even if the traveler doesn't realize that's happening in the background, your staff is making sure that room is still has your traveler's name on it. Is that right?
Last summer, we had such an issue in the south of France with boats, for example. We would book a boat for the day, and then the boat owner would get a better offer for a longer charter, maybe 3 or 4 days instead of a daily charter. And they were just saying, okay, even though we had a contract signed, whatever it was, they were canceling our contract and just taking the better offer. So I would not be surprised if this continues to happen again this year. I can't speak on behalf of car rentals. Hotels are not doing that, but I can tell you that there was a hotel that we ended up canceling on the Amalfi Coast, and they were very happy we canceled it because they got €1,000 per night more for those rooms because the demand was just so strong and the rates had changed. So they're not canceling.
And if I can,
but
if I can. If I can add to what you're saying, I think that, of course, we are all working our hardest to reconfirm and guarantee an audience. But as a famous line from Meg Austin, patience and a sense of humor will go a very long way during this very strange transition back into normal traveling rhythm. And we will do our best, but there's a lot of things that are out of our control. And patience and a sense of humor will help.
Okay, Zach, you're cutting out. I will reiterate what he said, I said. You really do need a sense of humor and to pack your patience. Things are not the same. I mean, if you go to the grocery store, things are not the same. If you try to buy a car, things are not the same. Travel is no exception. If you're working with one of Wendy's people, we do have the resources. We know the people. We will get you the best service and the best value, but you have to know that things are not the same. So you have to pack your patience and you have to pack your sense of humor. And once you get into, nobody moves as fast as anybody in the United States, nobody. So once you get to whatever destination you're going to, and you're able to get into their flow, their pace, you will better understand all you can enjoy of that specific property, that specific area, that specific country. So just remember that more so now than ever before.
Meg, you make a really good point. So many things have changed and we've gotten used to other parts of our life being different than they were before COVID. And now when people are traveling for maybe the first time, that's a good thing to remember. Gonzalo, did you want to add something on this point as well?
I just wanted to add that although that's a completely valid concern as far as Portugal and Spain, that has not been something that worries me at all. Canceling something that has been confirmed, because on the other hand, although everybody's super busy, I still feel that people have not forgotten how out of business they were for the past 2 years. And so that is also of relevance. And I've been noticing that on a daily basis. Yes, they're busy. Yes, they take more time. But they're super grateful that they're getting the business. And that matters at the end of the day. So no, I have not experienced that a single time of a hotel, a guide, the driver canceling something just to get something else for a higher price.
Got it.
No, I completely agree with you. My people aren't canceling for a higher price, and they are so appreciative of my clients arriving to the destination. They want to hug them, but do they have enough staff members? I mean, they're all working overtime. I mean, especially the housekeeping crew, because the COVID requirements are so much higher as far as cleanliness. But they are ready to hug you and kiss you for coming to whatever destination it is. They want you there.
Yeah,
that's our business. So
I absolutely experienced that in Namibia and South Africa last month. People were so grateful to see us. And, you know, did dinner take a little bit longer to come out? Maybe, but, you know, I got to see the hyena walking along the water hole, you know, just off the restaurant balcony. So they're.
So yes, just set your expectations that things will take a little bit longer. Order your drinks 15 minutes before you want them, and enjoy that a monkey might come in and steal your whatever. Yeah.
We have a question about solo travel. Can trips be arranged for solos? Cost efficiency for solos? I know, I'm sure everyone here has arranged trips for solo travelers. Does anyone want to speak to what might be different or the same about that? Feel free to raise your hand or.
I think Switzerland is quite a great destination for solo travelers. You can do a lot independently. You have a lot of safety. Now also, obviously the safety goes into COVID, cleanliness and the whole experience there, but also into the friendliness of somebody you can walk alone on the streets. You never have to be worried. You can do hikes alone, or we can organize a hike to come with you. I think it's also a destination where there are many solo travelers, because a train ride can be beautiful just to look out and be dreamy. So I definitely think in many aspects that that people feel good when traveling alone, or the feedback we get is that people feel good when traveling alone, or yeah, with
And
people.
how about the cost, Nina? I mean, something like a hotel room is going to be the same
Yeah.
price, one or two, but a train ticket, you're only buying one ticket.
Most hotels have single room hotels, so you do have like it might be only a queen bed, or in the mountains it's it's a little bit smaller, or even the same, just differently furnished. So also there within the cost, it will be definitely cheaper options for single travelers.
Okay. Dan, what do you see for solos in
Hi there, thank you. Yeah, good question. I just wanted to say that the pandemic and emerging from the pandemic here in Southeast Asia, I don't know why, but we've seen more solo inquiries and solo travelers in the last 6 months than probably in the last 3 years combined. I have no idea why that is, but Southeast Asia is very, very safe for starters. We have a lot of inquiries from female solo travelers, and one of the questions often is about safety. So Southeast Asia is a great place for solo travelers, male or female. And pricing right now is great compared to the way it was pre-pandemic in a lot of areas, hotels especially. So it's a really good time to travel to Southeast Asia as a solo traveler. I can't put my finger on why, but we've been doing a lot of solo trips the last couple of months, which is amazing. So come one, come all.
Great. Tom, we have a question from an audience member who says, what is the masking situation on the cruises? I'm leery about cruising with unmasked people.
Well, to be very honest with you, most of the cruise lines have relaxed the mask, at least from domestic ports of call from the USA, because the CDC has allowed the masks to be removed. So masks become a personal situation. Some of the cruise lines, and it varies from line to line, are requesting that people, when they come through public spaces, go to a bar, the casino, or the show lounge, will wear the mask, but once they're seated, they can remove it, which seems to be kind of a peculiar situation. I don't know how much safer or not safer that is, frankly, but that's the current situation. In Europe, however, some of the river cruise companies have just started requiring masks again on board the ship. So those are much smaller capacity vessels, and people have a tendency to be much closer together in tighter spaces. And that could be one of the situations as COVID has increased in some of the Eastern European countries. Interestingly enough, Hungary has completely dropped all requirements, and anyone can enter. You don't have to show a vaccine card or any proof of any type of shots or anything whatsoever. It's interesting how the rules are kind of all over the map, but nonetheless, masks are an iffy thing. I suspect if we see an increase in COVID, masks will be required once again. But right now, it's all over the place, to be honest with you. It's hard to keep up day to day, but we do our best. I call the cruise lines, ask the questions, get the answers. And I just say, just roll with the punches. Things are getting easier, certainly for cruises. I did want to add, though, one thing about solo travelers. There are a lot of amazing deals for solo travelers on cruises this summer, more than I've seen in the 35 years I've been doing this. I'm shocked, especially for river cruises. Many of the lines are waiving completely that double capacity rule where it's 200% down to 100%. So some sweet, sweet values this summer.
Wendy, I know that we still have some more questions. We're getting close to the end of our hour.
We are. I guess we've got a couple. Why don't we take maybe 2 or 3 more questions?
Okay. Jennifer, people keep asking about Italy. We've got questions about, Sardinia or Sicily. Are the islands, a possibility? Tuscany in September, Italy in October. So what are you positive and optimistic about for Italy? When and where?
Italy in October is wonderful. Everywhere in October is wonderful. Sicily and Sardinia. Sicily, we're seeing a lot of hotels being very full, but it's still feasible. Again, it's a lot about flexibility, like we said earlier. So if everybody can be a little bit flexible, maybe spending less time in one place and more time in another place. Once the hotels are locked in, then everything else is a bit smoother if we have some time. If it's for tomorrow or the next day, then maybe not. But if it's, there's always something that we can find, but the hotels are the biggest challenge. Sardinia, the north of Sardinia, of course, the high season, July and August, everything is very expensive and very fully booked. But there's still space to be had, again, with flexibility. Even in the Amalfi Coast, there's still some space out there. It's just a matter of finding it.
Yeah. And Jan, we just got a question about Iceland. What do you see for Iceland in the spring and going into the fall and winter? Sorry, the summer and going into the fall and winter.
Yes. Well, there is still availability in Iceland, so we have not had any problems. Of course, you maybe don't get your first hotel choice, and we have to be a little bit creative, but we will always make it happen. So just send requests for Iceland. Iceland is still wide open for the summer. Iceland is a very all year destination, actually.
Well, I think we should probably, it's 7 o'clock Eastern time. And I know that a lot of you, many of you WOW listeners who have been so kind to join us tonight it's midnight or 1 a.m. your time. Those of you in Europe, we so appreciate your being with us. I know the audience is very grateful to you for all this wonderful intelligence that you've brought to us. Thank you. We look forward to hearing more from you as soon as we can, but please get some sleep. And as for our viewers, thank you so much for joining us. We've got another Zoom tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern, the one on winter travel, the winter holidays and beyond. And then we've also got the one on airfares, best flights, seats, and airfares on Friday. And of course, if you are, wondering where can you go this summer, you have specific travel needs and goals, and you would really like a personalized trip recommendation. That's what Brooke and I do all day long, is answer your questions and say, we suggest you go here or there, or, so if you're trying to figure out if you're not wed to any particular destination or timing, and you really would love to know where and when you're going to get the best maximized experience, we're happy to help you if you go to WendyPerrin.com and just click on Ask Wendy. Again, thank you so much to our panel today. It means the world to all of us. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. And if you're in Europe, please get some good sleep. Have sweet dreams.
Thanks, everyone.
Take good care, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The sun has just come up in Thailand. So good morning, everybody.